For decades, occupational health debates have focused on physical injuries, falling objects, repetitive strain, hearing loss from loud machinery. But as it turns out, one of the most dangerous hazards in industrial labor isn't visible at all. It's in the air. And for millions of workers in construction, mining, manufacturing, and transportation, daily exposure to airborne pollutants may be doing more than damaging their lungs. It may be sabotaging their brains, slowly increasing the risk of dementia with every shift. The evidence is becoming difficult to ignore. Chronic occupational exposure to airborne toxins, including diesel exhaust, welding fumes, fine particulate matter, PM 2.5, silica dust, heavy metals like lead and manganese, and volatile organic compounds, is now linked to neurodegeneration and a significantly higher risk of cognitive decline. In other words, many blue-collar workers may be breathing their way into dementia. Construction workers are particularly at risk. They're often exposed to a noxious cocktail of concrete dust, engine emissions, and chemical particulates from paints, glues, and solvents, often in poorly ventilated environments or open-air job sites near traffic. Silica dust alone, common in masonry and demolition, is classified as a Group 1 carcinogen, but it's also neurotoxic. It can inflame the central nervous system, pass through the blood-brain barrier, and spark the kind of chronic brain inflammation associated with memory loss and cognitive impairment. In mining and quarrying, the danger intensifies. Underground workers often face concentrated exposure to diesel fumes from machinery, plus elevated levels of PM 2.5, sulfur dioxide, and heavy metals. Several cohort studies have found that retired miners experience disproportionately high rates of cognitive dysfunction, and not just due to head injuries. Repeated inhalation of neurotoxic particles appears to trigger microglial activation in the brain, essentially turning the immune system on itself, which over time erodes cognitive capacity. Transportation and logistics workers aren't spared either. Truck drivers, dock workers, mechanics, and forklift operators spend hours each day inhaling exhaust, tire dust, and ambient pollutants from congested roadways or enclosed warehouses. A 2022 study in Environmental Health Perspectives found that long-term exposure to high levels of diesel exhaust among bus and delivery drivers was associated with significantly higher risk of mild cognitive impairment and earlier onset of dementia symptoms compared to non-exposed workers in other sectors. And while industrial safety has improved in many areas, airborne neurotoxins often fall through the cracks. Respiratory protection, when enforced, is typically designed to prevent acute lung damage, not low-level, chronic neurological exposure. Workers may be protected from asphyxiation or silicosis, but no one's checking if their hippocampus is slowly unraveling. The mechanisms are disturbingly consistent. Fine particles inhaled on the job can travel through the olfactory nerve, yes, through the nose, directly into the brain, bypassing the usual blood-brain barrier. Once there, they ignite oxidative stress, disrupt neurotransmitter balance, and encourage the buildup of amyloid beta, a key player in Alzheimer's disease. Long-term inflammation damages white matter tracts, weakening the neural connections that underpin memory, planning, and spatial reasoning, all essential skills for safe work, let alone retirement. And these workers are often exposed daily, for decades. It's not just an environmental hazard. It's a career path paved in neurotoxic residue. The tragedy is that most of them never see it coming. There's no warning sign for brain inflammation. No aching joints to signal damage. Cognitive decline creeps in slowly. Maybe a misstep in an assembly process, a name forgotten, a sudden moment of disorientation on the job. By the time symptoms are obvious, the damage is often permanent. Adding insult to injury, these same workers are often underinsured or lack access to early neurological care. The result? Many cases of occupational dementia are misdiagnosed, untreated, or dismissed as normal aging. And when these workers do retire, they often face a cruel endgame. After decades of physically punishing labor, their reward is a body that hurts and a mind that flickers. This is more than just a health issue. It's a workplace justice crisis. Millions of people are trading their cognitive futures for a paycheck, often without informed consent, and almost always without long-term neurological monitoring. Air quality regulations in industrial settings are outdated, underenforced, or focus narrowly on acute hazards. The idea that a welding helmet or dust mask is protecting someone from cognitive decay is, frankly, a dangerous illusion. What can be done? Plenty, but it starts with acknowledging the problem. Routine neurocognitive screening should be part of occupational health in high-risk industries. Air filtration and ventilation systems must be modernized and maintained, not just installed for regulatory compliance. Protective gear must evolve to consider neurological threats, not just respiratory ones. And perhaps most importantly, we need stronger regulatory frameworks that treat the brain as part of the body when defining workplace safety. Until then, we'll continue to quietly sacrifice cognitive health on the assembly line, the drill site, the loading dock. Dementia will keep showing up early, in calloused hands and soot-stained uniforms, and no one will ask why. We romanticize blue-collar toughness, but toughness won't protect you from a neurotoxin you can't see. The hard truth is this: in too many jobs, the air is slowly stealing memory, clarity, and identity, and no one's punching out before the damage is done.